Thank you for inviting me to speak about literacy, my passion. My passion for literacy began in 3rd grade when I won the Reading Rainbow Writers and Illustrators contest. I was proud to win, but more importantly, I was proud of my best friend because he got 3rd place. You see, my friend had a problem reading because he was dyslexic, but by winning this contest, his attitude toward school and himself improved dramatically. That is when I knew that designing ways to improve literacy could have a major impact on the illiterate populations. I became involved with an online magazine called Amazing Kids to help design contests and to help kids with their writing skills. From there, I looked for other ways to get involved. I was lucky enough to meet a fabulous mentor for me, Jan Pedden, at the Redwood City Public Library. By working with Jan in her traveling storytime program and during other events, she has taught me how important connecting with the children is, and that long-term commitment is necessary to make permanent change. Thank you, Jan, for your support. We often take for granted the ability to read. The simplest things, like a street sign, medical instructions, and even our program today. But all over the world, illiteracy is a big problem. Let's go over some of the facts, and then I'll share some ideas that have helped literacy in my area. Here are some worldwide adult literacy facts. Approximately 26% of the world's adult population is illiterate, nearly 800 million people. Women make up 2/3 of all illiterate people. People who are literate live to an average age of 68, while people who are illiterate live to an average age of under 50 years old. What about literacy facts for children? The National Assessment of Educational Progress shows that 80% of children from low-income families are not proficient readers by the end of 3rd grade, a critical milestone for future academic success. Children who do not reach reading proficiency by the end of 3rd grade risk never catching up and are 3 to 4 times more likely to drop out in later years. What about younger children, aged birth to preschool? Should we focus on them? While public education begins at age 5 in the United States, developmental research tells us that we should not wait until kindergarten to develop language and other critical cognitive skills. Just look at these facts. Most brain cells exist at birth, but the connections between those cells that create analytic skills are formed in early childhood. Having books in the home is twice as important to predicting future success as the father's education level. In middle-income neighborhoods, the ratio of books per child is 13 to 1. In low-income neighborhoods, however, the ratio is 1 age-appropriate book for every 300 children. "61% of low-income families have no books at all in their homes for their children. The most successful way to improve the reading achievement of low-income children is to increase their access to books and other reading materials. What about around San Mateo County? Well, 58% of Redwood City and 42% of San Mateo County's 3rd graders are not proficient in reading. These are shocking percentages when you understand that San Mateo County is in the top 1% of affluent counties in the United States. California has the highest rate of 3rd graders not proficient in reading of all states at 55%. Across the United States, 33% of all 3rd graders are not reading proficient. For the population over 16 in San Mateo County, 15% lack basic literacy skills, which is about 81,000 people. This has increased from 8% in 1992. If a parent is unable to read to a child, it perpetuates generational low literacy levels and low educational attainment. In general, states with large immigrant populations have the most residents who are unable to read and understand information from such sources as newspapers and brochures. The immigrant population is growing in California, and education cutbacks have made additional focus on these challenged readers impossible. How can we justify spending tax dollars and donations on increasing literacy? Well, according to Nobel Prize-winning economist James Heckman, investments in early childhood educational programming for low-income families has a 7 to 10% annual rate of return. $2 billion a year are spent on students who repeat a grade because they have reading problems. And nearly 85% of the juveniles who face trial in the juvenile court system are functionally illiterate. 2/3 of students who cannot read proficiently by the end of 4th grade will end up in jail or on welfare. 75% of Americans who receive food stamps perform at the lowest 2 levels of literacy. 90% of high school dropouts are on welfare. Over $70 million extra is spent every year on health care because lower literacy rates directly correlate with decreased health. A 1% increase in average literacy rates yields a 1.5 permanent increase in the gross domestic product. For every dollar that gets spent on increasing adult literacy, society reaps $7.36 in return through increased revenues and decreased expenditures. Clearly, an increased investment in literacy is needed, yet funding for adult education and English language instruction has declined by 17% from 2002 to 2012 when adjusted for inflation. What ways can we impact literacy? The first key is encouraging reading and writing in the home. The single most important factor influencing a child's early educational success is an introduction to books and being read to at home prior to beginning school. Children who struggle with reading in 1st grade soon decide that they neither like nor want to read. This influences school success for the rest of their education. 80% of preschool and after-school programs serving low-income populations have no age-appropriate books for their children. In America, the supply of quality used children's books far outweighs the demand. So it is a matter of reshuffling the books to the people that need them from the ones who do not use them. Let's go over some more solutions. 1, we can hold more book drives that redistribute the books to populations that need them. In the very first book drive we ever ran, we received over 20,000 books, and we were able to supply the library literacy programs and 20 other charities with books. The public in our area are willing to help. We just need to offer them the organization and easy methods of donating. Instructions on running a successful book drive can be found at the website I developed, www.bookdrivetoolkit.blogspot.com. 2, we should teach parents to increase their number and quality of verbal interactions with children. Professional families hear approximately 11 million words per year. Children in working class families hear about 6 million words. And children in welfare recipient families hear only 3 million words. Gaps in language development exist as early as 18 months. In Redwood City, we have the Baby and Me and Toddler and Me programs, which teach parents how to positively interact with their children. Expansion of these programs into additional low-income neighborhoods would multiply their positive effects. We can support an increase in parents' reading skills so that they can pass the skill on to their children. While handing out free books at the North Fair Oaks Festival, I found out that many of these children were translating the information we were telling them for their parents. adult reading skills can be improved through projects such as Project Read. The wait lists, however, are a sign that we need to raise donations and recruit more qualified volunteers. 4. We need to provide access to materials by having easy access to local libraries, school libraries, and free materials to hand out. Let me describe my experiences in this area. When I was at a North Fair Oaks preschool, when I was reading for the Traveling Storytime program, I would end up arriving, and every day I arrived at this preschool, the children would shout, "Ryan's here, Ryan's here," because they were so excited to see that I would be reading to them that day. So every year at the end of the year, I would go and Jen would give me a stack of books to give to these children, and so I gave each child a book. But that one book I gave them at the end of the year was their most prized possession. And I felt that I was the only one reading to them other than their teachers because they didn't have any books at their home and their parents weren't reading to them. I began helping out at local fairs after this, handing out free books from the book drive. The children and parents were resistant to being given anything free, so we had the children spin a wheel to win a book or a toy. I knew we were making progress when one child asked me if they could trade their toy in for a book. The excitement from these children to receive a book was intense. By going to their neighborhoods, we were able to speak with them directly about their library programs and resources. They were informed about the literacy programs, library events, and the availability of alternative material, such as talking books, to help them work with their children. We can also provide positive reinforcement by offering contests, publication, or public acknowledgement to encourage writing skills. There are a few public writing competitions available in our area, so that is something we can offer with business sponsorship. We can also inform the public about programs available by providing descriptions of them in emails, public announcements, and by word of mouth. I am assistant editor of Amazing Kids magazine, a 4 kids, 5 kids online magazine that encourages literacy skills through quarterly contests, publication of stories by kids, and one-on-one editing assistance. I have seen kids grow from submitting a story for a contest to winning the contest and then becoming the column editor. A little encouragement can make writers bloom. Also, it has been proven that a single brief exposure to a good reading material can cause a clear increase in enthusiasm for writing. The second solution is to provide access to services in centralized locations. Low-income families often have difficulties with transportation. Early learning centers teach introductory literacy skills such as number and letter identification. The Redwood City Public Library just added a new center at the Redwood City Public Library at the main library, and it has been in high demand and loved by families. Additional sites for these centers are planned in the future. The third solution is to increase participation in volunteers for exciting and new programs through hands-on involvement, marketing, and rewards. We need to try to give opportunities for volunteers to lead. We can learn more about any subject as teachers than as students. Allowing volunteers to be a part of decisions makes them feel more valued and attracts more volunteers. Increasing volunteers not only helps support programs, but develops leadership and teamwork skills. Last summer, we set up a youth literacy council in Redwood City to design and promote literacy programs and to provide volunteers. These 9 teens have volunteered over 850 hours of service, leading key events. This summer, we put on 4 STEM, which means science, technology, engineering, and math classes at the library, and the teens who helped learned to teach, hold the attention of 8 to 12-year-olds, which is hard, by the way, and honed in their speaking skills. The STEM classes were also an example of how to increase participation in literacy programs. First, we marketed the classes through online resources such as our website, Facebook, Nextdoor, and emails to friends and parent groups. Most importantly, word-of-mouth comments from participants helped to fill up each additional session. Then, we provided engaging sessions that used hands-on experiments, so we all had great fun while learning. These participants and volunteers will come back to the next literacy event. Also, it doesn't hurt you to reward your volunteers with something as simple as a pizza lunch. Positive reinforcement for volunteers, such as this award deserve, will also attract more volunteers and keep the ones that we already have making an impact. In summary, encouraging children to read more when they have no reading materials makes just about as much sense as urging starving people to eat when they have no food. It is up to us to make the changes that will set these children on the right path to a successful future. The numbers show us that the return on investment is there. We just need to focus on raising the money, implementing programs with the money that will make the right changes, and making sure the public is informed about the problem at hand. I think the programs and changes I have suggested here are a great start. Thank you.